For decades, scholars have attempted to define the dimensions of leadership. Some theories suggest leadership is a group focused process. Some suggest leadership is a combination of special traits or characteristics that individuals possess. Irrespective of the definition of leadership, most agree that leadership involves developing and influencing a team to induce others to accomplish tasks. As stated by Osham, leadership is not one size fits all phenomenon, and what works in one setting may not necessarily succeed in another, which is why there are several theories and approaches that define those responsible for leading groups. A number of those theories focus on traits, behaviors, styles, and processes that contribute to leadership success. That being said, we must also acknowledge the role followers play within groups that influence each other. Regardless of whether a leader is born with the skills necessary to influence others, has learned skills to lead a team, or provide strict guidance and structure, the goal remains the same. A team must possess the ability to work together to accomplish tasks.
So, in this section, we will be talking about how it adds up to leadership studies. This article makes an important contribution to leadership studies by integrating social identity theory into leadership development. Instead of focusing only on individual traits, it emphasizes how leaders grow through their connection to group identity and shared values. This is a shift from traditional models like those described by Northouse, which often highlights task and relationship behaviors, and Robbins and George, who stress organizational dynamics. The article also provides a practical framework for implementing leadership development programs that align with organizational culture. By bridging theory and practice, it shows how identity based leadership development can improve motivation, team cohesion, and retention. Overall, it advances leadership studies by moving the conversation from individual characteristics to collective processes that sustain effective leadership.
Northouse notes that social identity leadership has several limitations. One criticism is that a strong emphasis on in group can unintentionally exclude people who are perceived as outsiders. This can be problematic in diverse organizations where inclusion is a priority. Another concern is the possibility of groupthink. When members strongly identify with a group, they may become less willing to challenge ideas or question leadership decisions, reducing creativity and critical thinking. The theory also places greater emphasis on collective identity than on leaders' actual competence or ethical behavior. A leader may successfully create a sense of us, but that does not necessarily mean they are effective or ethical. Lay and Wong's 2025 systematic review found that identity leadership can produce both positive and negative outcomes. While it can increase engagement and cohesion, it can also strengthen boundaries between groups if leaders fail to promote inclusiveness.
Thanks, Trinity. Hello, my name is Leonard Chavez, and I'd like to continue to expand on this. Social identity leadership is not a new concept. I'd like to share how current research continues to prove its relevance. At its core, it focuses on how people are influenced by a shared sense of who we are and how that shared identity can shape leadership, culture, and long-term change. Now, McMillan and colleagues explain that leadership development is most effective when it connects to a group's shared values and daily work experience. Their describe model makes this practical by showing that organizations need to activate a shared identity, align with leadership goals, put into practice through behaviors, and then anchor it through routines and systems. Leadership development should not be a one-time training event. Boston and colleagues add to this by saying leadership should not sit only with formal managers. Peer leaders help carry this culture forward through onboarding, feedback, collaboration, and everyday actions. In closing, social identity leadership matters because it turns leadership from an individual responsibility to a shared organizational practice. When people see the culture as part of who we are, they are more likely to align their behaviors, support one another, and sustain change over time. With that, I'll hand it over to Deon. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard. So, what is our final verdict on social identity leadership for today's workforce? In short, practical and timely. The strategic value is real. Remote and hybrid teams often lack the natural sense of we, and this framework gives leaders a direct way to build that shared identity and re-engage people. It also is actionable. The three R's, reflect, represent, and realize, gives leaders concrete steps and an identity leadership inventory makes something abstract measurable. Because it is a follower-centric, it fits a diverse global workforce, adapting the leader to the group instead of imposing one style on everyone. We're not uncritical though. The research base is still thin. It is unclear how well it works for assigned leaders and prototypically can slip into group bias if mishandled. Our bottom line, a highly practical framework best used to complement your existing leadership models, not replace them. Thank you.